Move to adoption of the agenda.
Motion to adopt.
I have a motion to adopt.
Second.
Second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. All right, do we have any petitions from the public?
No, sir.
No. All right, I have approval of the minutes from the regular meeting held on March the 11th of this year. Already also had the approval of the minutes for the regular meeting on March the 27th.
Mr. Chairman, I move that we adopt both minutes with corrections that will be in.
All right, I have a motion to adopt with any corrections. I have a second.
Second.
All right. Even though I did not see any objections or any corrections, anyone else see any? Hearing none, I'll, all those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. Constitutional officers.
Nothing at this time, sir.
Thank you.
Nothing.
Everybody? None.
Well, I would like to,
Yes.
is Tommy
I
here?
knew it.
Tommy's not here. I just wanted to tell Tommy, for the record, the recreational part looked really nice for opening day.
Oh.
So, oh, is he back there? There he is. It looked really good. Y'all worked hard and it was really nice for those kids opening day.
Thank you very much. All right, we're gonna move down to new business. Item number 1, the public hearing for the ordinance related to large-scale land use in the comprehensive, plan amendment. Mr. Reeves.
Yes, sir, Mr. Chairman, this is the second hearing on a large-scale comprehensive plan amendment. This is and of course, the board was informed last time, what it's about. It concerns certain piece of property in Madison County. You got before you the ordinance that, dash ordinance that you're being asked to adopt. I do want to make, one, note for you, if you would, on page 2, section 1. It's got the description of the property just by tax ID number. That's really not sufficient. It needs to be the meets and bounds legal description, which is in the files, in the permitting file. So at the end of this public hearing, once you've heard from everyone, if the board were to decide to adopt the ordinance, I would request that you adopt it, but allow us to substitute in the meets and bounds legal description for the description there on section 1. I think you can go ahead and have a public hearing and make a decision, but if you chose to adopt it, that's what we would, I would request. So with that said, Mr. Chairman, you should open it up to the public comment. Once they've had their comment, bring it back to the board, and then by motion second and majority vote, dispose of the proposed order.
I will now open it up to the public for any comments on this, land use change. Hearing none, I'm gonna bring it back to the board. Do I have a motion on consideration?
Mr. Chair, I make a motion to approve with the recommended changes from our attorney.
Second.
I have a motion to accept the resolution or the ordinance with the changes so noted in section 1, page 2. I have a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign, 5-0. All right, thank you very much. We're gonna go back up to unfinished business. Mr. Hardy, I saw you slip in, did you, well, the constitutional officer, would you like to make a comment?
Yes, thank you. I just want to say that we did a successful election yesterday. I want to thank Mr. Ronnie for being on the canvassing board. Taylor County had the highest turnout with 29.44%. Franklin had the lowest with 15.86%. Madison came in with 25.56%. I got a lot of good positive feedback on the vote centers yesterday. And over the time, probably had about 50 roughly phone calls for it. Had 2 that were concerned about it, but at the end of the day, I think they understand what we're doing. I'm getting a lot of calls from different counties wanting a resolution and different things that we did because they want to pursue with this. But I just want to come tell y'all, thank y'all. We mailed out 215 absentees, to vote by mail. We received 142 back, and we only rejected one. And so, it was a great election overall. So, I just wanted to come in and thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Tom.
Thank you very much. All right, under unfinished business, review and possible approval of the bids, for the tennis courts in Madison County. What's the name of the reason?
Where we left that, Mr. Chairman, last time was, we received bids and the, suggestion was made to reject all bids and go out for, new bids. I requested additional time to research that issue, because, our bid docs did not specifically say that we reserve the right to reject any and all bids. This bid is for, was for tennis courts or construction of tennis courts or pickleball courts, whatever we call them, at the, recreation center. The reasonably anticipated cost of that was well below the state threshold, which is $300,000 for, statutory requirements to bid. So there was no requirement that it be bid out at all. If there's no statutory requirement, then the only limitation on the board is the board cannot act in an arbitrary and capricious manner. I think if the, if you are rejecting all bids because you think that, you did not get a wide enough circulation on the bid and you want to send it out for more contractors, and you intend to do that to not only just advertise it the way it was, but also attempt to get more contractors, I don't think that would be arbitrary or capricious. I think y'all would be allowed to do that. So I think you're allowed to, at this point, you can accept, one of the bids you've got. I think if you, decide that you think the bid didn't get, enough circulation and it wasn't wide enough, spread out and advertised, you can reject all bids in an effort to do that and get more, to get more participation in the contract.
Open up, thank you. Any thoughts from the board members?
Mr. Chair, if you will, if I may, I will say that yes, I think would probably be a good idea if we did rebid it and reach out to a wider round. We'll probably come back with some, better, budget or cost on them. So that would be my recommendation.
All right, I have a motion. Do I have a second?
I'll second it for discussion. I'm trying to think back as to why we need to rebid it. I think Ms. White, you had some concerns there.
I did.
Could you?
May I speak?
Yes, please.
Yes.
Mr. Chair, if it's okay.
Yes, Ms. White should come forward.
Back in August, when we had originally decided that this was a good project to do at the rec park, it was discussed that the bids would be emailed to local certified tennis court construction builders. It was only advertised on the local website and in our local paper, so nobody knew about it. So consequently, we only got 2 bids. There are at least 35 certified tennis court construction companies in our area. That's just on the certified site. I think there are more in Georgia that I haven't even found yet, but am anxious to get that information. I think, and I am personally going to email that new bid. We would like to also change the bid, the scope of the bid, to include lighting, which I think is very important out there at the rec park. They have lighting for softball, baseball, and I think that the tennis courts marked for pickleball would also get more use as people can play in the evening times when it gets dark. And so I think that is actually an affordable option for us. I spoke to gentleman at the TCEC, and it's definitely an affordable thing. There was a couple of other things that we wanted to discuss, including an actual new bid. So we can actually change the scope of it in addition to getting a wider advertisement for the bid so that we can get more bang for our buck. I really do believe that we can get a more competitive bid when we actually get it advertised out there. So I would respectfully request that we do rebid it. I do have some ideas as I've done more research on it, what we need to do to make the courts last longer. We don't have any courts in Madison at all, and I really feel like we need to do these courts as professionally as possible. I would really prefer that we get a certified tennis court builder so that it's gonna last long-term with no puddling, and that they're gonna last for years and years. This is our one shot, gentlemen, and we really want them to be constructed in a professional manner that will last a long, long time. And I just really feel strongly about that, and I appreciate your consideration to rebid it so that I can personally email the bid to as many people in our area that would be interested in putting in a bid. Thank you.
So
Any
there were-
questions or?
Well, so there were no lights in the original spec?
Correct. So it'd be a completely new bid. It would not be unfair to the two that did bid because we're gonna actually change things that we're asking for. One of the things also, and speaking with Ina, the ones in the city courts have 30-inch asphalt on the top. This specified only 1.5 inches, which would be okay, but for longevity purposes, 3 inches of asphalt would last a little bit longer. Would last a whole lot longer, actually, without any worry about grass coming through, cracking. It would just last a whole lot longer. That's another part of the bid that I would like to see changed.
Would that, Ms. Reeves, would that cause any problem about completely redoing it?
No, I think you would have the discretion to do that if the board wishes to do that.
And Mr. Chair and Commissioner, that was one of my motivation for seeking the rebid, was the opportunity for the lighting. And I will say though, that Ms. Rice, if you increase the thickness of that, you're gonna significantly increase the cost with the asphalt.
And if we can do the bid both ways, 1.5 inches, 3 inches, 2 inches, and lighting and without lighting, but speaking to, what's his name? You remember who I talked to at Tri-County? Jeff Brewer. There were two different ways we can go with the lighting. One was to purchase it outright, which was not expensive at all, actually, I have my notes. He was gonna do some research on that. He was saying if we can rent it from Tri-County at $100 a month, or we can do an upfront cost of between $3,000 and $5,000 on it outright, and then the, county, the rec park would actually maintain them. And he said there was a 10-year, longevity on those, lights, but he was gonna do some research for me and see how high they needed to be, how many we needed for that size court. And it's absolutely within our budget to do the lighting, and I think it would be a big benefit, especially when the time changes and you have people that can't get out there until after work, and then it gets dark at 7 o'clock, so they don't have a whole lot of time. But I can recall times out at the, college tennis courts, and there were a lot of people out there playing in the evenings because they had lights, so I really think, that would be a great addition to the bid.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Robert. All right. Any further discussion?
Mr. Chair, I'm still thinking through my mind some things, some thoughts here. Does it have to be a certified builder?
I think that
As long as
it
they
would be
meet.
very important to have a certified tennis court builder with a lot of experience. Because like I said, this is our one shot to get a great tennis court. And initially we were talking about one tennis court, now we're talking about at least 2 tennis courts. So that you can have competitions out there and tournaments, and you want it to last. You don't want it to puddle when it rains. You want a well-constructed tennis court that's gonna last for years. Like I said, this is a one shot. We have the funding for it, and I wanna get the best court that we can get for our community. That rec park out there is beautiful. It deserves nothing less than the best tennis court that we can possibly build out there. Nothing is halfway built out there. Tommy maintains a beautiful court out there. It's just absolutely gorgeous. It rivals anything in our area. Tallahassee doesn't have anything on that Madison Rec Park. It's gorgeous, and it deserves to be the best that it can be.
Kim, thank you very much.
Just for clarification, who gonna be in charge of doing the process?
Writing specs,
Who writing specs?
I don't know.
I will, I'll be working with the committee to
Okay.
make the changes.
In saying that, I just wanna say, let's make sure we get it right this time, you know, and if the attorney needs to look at it.
Sure.
Before, I mean, that's all I gotta say.
Okay.
I do,
Go ahead.
I do wanna say, if you recall, a month or so ago, when we did the work between the two buildings here, there was a huge discrepancy in the bids. And we looked back and each one had to go by the specs. And I think we got a good job for considerable less money. These two bids that we have, one's certified and one's non-certified, but they're within $2,000 of each other. The only way I could see it, if we change the specs, then we could do something different. But if we're going back with roughly the same specs, then I'm not sure that a certified builder is going to be that much advantageous over non-certified, as long as they stand by the quality and the specs that are specified.
Well, if I understand Commissioner Davis's motion, he does want to completely rewrite the specs. If my understanding, is that correct? Commissioner?
Well, let me ask you this, I mean, if the lighting, the lighting to me is very important out there. To be able to use that part, you know, for greater hours in the day for that purpose. I mean, if that's an additional thing we can push out on the other side of this bid, then, I guess, Brian, that would be a question for the attorney. I mean, will we go and do the lighting on our own to include it after this construction's done, or what?
No, how I took it is that we were gonna include it in the bid.
I mean, if the board chooses to go with the bids we have today, is what I'm saying.
Oh, I see what you're saying, yeah, I don't know.
Well, my way of thinking, seems like to me, the lighting, if we go for a rebid, should be incorporated
It
into
should.
the specs.
And again, that was my motivation for suggesting that we rebid, because they include the lighting and everything else that needs to be, you know, redid in the new bid that we put out, if we put out a bid.
Cook has in, back
Mr.
Yeah, I
Fanning,
want to speak about that tennis court.
come forward.
I was one of the ones that bid on the tennis court. And, if y'all thought that bid was high, the time you add the lights to it, you got about another $100,000. If you turn it in, you're gonna have to have an electrical contractor and set all the concrete poles to do it like you got, to match up what you got out there. That might buy the lights. If it's $5,000, they buy the lights on it, but there was a lot in that specs that were really overkill. It had 6 inches of lime rock underneath it. Well, you don't have 6 inches of lime rock under the new road y'all paving. You know, and how heavy are the people playing tennis? If you're that heavy and you weigh as much as a Mack truck, I don't believe you're gonna be running very much on that tennis court. But, we did the one down at Lee, resurfaced it for them. And that's what I was looking, and the wire, they actually make a tennis court wire that's designed for that. It's a lighter scale. It's not a lot cheaper, but it's cheaper. There's a lot you could cut back on just the specs you got and save you a little bit of money. And I knew from the one I built about what it was gonna be to build two. The only difference I was changing the specs is between the two courts, put a 6-foot fence up. It says a 3 foot between you, nets more than 3 foot tall. I guess it's just something to trip over if you run into the other court. But, you know, how I was looking at it was where you'd knock somebody's head off with the ball if you couldn't serve it. Just that, and it's cheaper. Actually, the taller fence is cheaper than the 3 foot short fence, because it all has to be cut out on that. But, and then the way they had the bracing on the top, it had bracing at the top, in the middle, and the bottom, all the way around, 9-gauge wire. That's heavier than we put up for Duke Energy around their substation. That, you can't hardly cut that with a pair of clients. And all you're gonna do is hit the tennis ball against it. But I'm not certified at it, but I did put in a bid for it. And I was surprised that they're all right in there with them, you know, on the bid. And we use the same coatings that they use, I just don't have a big fancy certificate, if it means anything or not, because I've had them call me when they did the one at Lee, the guy that bid on it, called me wanting me to do it for them. So a lot of them guys are just ride around pickup truck doings, and they hire us over it all out. And I probably could manage to get the lights put up if they wanted to bid the lights. So we need the specs on the poles, what kind of, you know, how bright you want the lights are. And they've come a long way with that. We didn't do Osceola School because they backed out. Osceola softball field was $155,000. And I see if, Tri-County would help them throw in a little volunteer work on the weekend setting poles. So I don't, not that big, but it's pretty close, you know, for your lighting heads and all, that's where the money comes in. I just wanna put my 2 cents in there, just save you something, I will, if they wanna, I'll help them respec it to where, especially at the bottom, you don't need, asphalt is nothing but a friction course. It doesn't have any structural value to it, if any, a little bit, if any, it won't hold a load up underneath it, when you do it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Ready. Okay, any further?
Mr. Chair, just one other comment, we need to, make sure we have that famous clause at the bottom, we reserve the right.
Is there the pickleball associate, do they have a spec for tennis courts? Do they have, specs that we can pull from rather than us just trying to piecemeal it?
They do.
Can I say one more thing?
Yep, go ahead.
Well, they was wanting pickleball courts. That's, I mean, we can, just the ones that y'all use through the tennis association, they won't let them paint. We can't pay for, hopscotch or nothing else on their court if they paid the money for them, you know what I mean?
No, we're not getting any money
We're not
from
getting
them.
any money
But that's what I'm
from it.
saying, if that's the conditions of it, then you can't do nothing but play, you can play anything you want to on it, but you can't call it that. But as far as striping it for a pickleball court, that's the one at Lee, we could stripe it for a pickleball court. Anything, you got the high school, they got 6 fields up there that, courts that need to be redone, cause you've got to maintain them, you gotta keep them clean, and honestly, the coating people tell you to buy the coat, cause in Florida, they want 4 years as long as they'll go standing behind the coat.
Thank you.
They high maintenance.
I would ask you, where did the, depth of the, lime rock come from, and also the depth of the asphalt, was that?
US Tennis Association specs.
It just seemed like, it seemed like it's an awful lot, and I think it was made to that point, you know, you're not driving trucks over or cars over.
Well, the 6 inches was to keep a lot of the, grasses out.
Well,
That's very
okay.
important to have that thickness.
Okay,
And that's, if you look through the bid specs, everything that's in there came from the US Tennis Association book. Basically, I copied and pasted out of that book.
okay.
Gauge of the wire, everything comes straight out of there.
Mr. Chair, can we get a motion again, please?
Mr. Davis?
I can move there.
No,
So Commissioner Davis originally said that he thought it'd be a good idea to rebid. I took that, as you said, as a motion to reject the current bid and to rebid. Is that the motion that you were?
Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay.
And I think you included the lighting. You wanted
Yeah, I mean,
to
my
include-
motivation for doing the rebid, if we do it, is gonna be to include the lighting and such.
The rebid to change the specs? Change the scope?
I would put that in, I think we need to have that in the motion. Does that agree with you, Ms. Moore, on your second?
I didn't say.
You second.
Did I say?
Yes, sir.
You did, I thought.
Same for discussion.
Okay,
We can look-
I'm agreeable with it. I know we had a lot of discussion going on that.
All right, any further discussion?
Question.
Here, I have a question. All right, all those in favor of rebidding the, tennis courts, say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. we will rebid it. Okay. Thank you.
Mr. Chair.
Yes.
One other thing, was our aim to try and have this in place by this summer? Not really.
By the summer? Oh, that would be wonderful.
Unlikely, but.
Unlikely, but if they're done correctly, if it takes a little bit longer, that's fine too. I just want them done right.
Okay.
We're gonna be getting May get the approval of that, I think, at this point. Summer, maybe the middle of summer. All right, we'll move on down to Public Works. Review the possible approval of revised fee schedule and payment policies for the solid waste department. Mr. Clay Bear, come forward.
Good morning, everyone.
Good morning, Clay.
I believe in running behind this, as far as I know, everything has been given to y'all. I'm gonna have to look at approvals and stuff on it. What we're looking for is multiple things here, but looking to make a change in the payment policy, which most have been approved of when Mr. White was here on that behalf. We just want to put in place a $75 fee to reset one after it's been pulled in from non-payment. Everybody on page there, payment policy.
And that's, Mr. Chair, I guess that's
That
the
one.
addition, is that additional, or we had that in the original policy?
We had it in the original policy, but there was not a reset fee.
Okay,
And a reset fee of $75 is what we're looking for.
so that's the change.
That's the change, $75.
Yes, sir.
Reset would be the change.
Okay.
Mr. Kaufman, how many did we actually have on that? I know we had so much at one time, we did cut back. I just didn't get with you this morning to be sure.
Well, This is similar to what the power company does, you know, if you don't pay your bill and they shut you off, well, to reconnect, you're gonna pay a fee, so it kinda discourages you from letting it go that long. In this particular, document, we also are starting to have a policy of when the bills will go out, the 25th of the month. And then the invoice is due 25 days the following month. So you're giving people 25 days to pay the bill. After that, you still give them another 30 days, and if they don't pay the bill, then we remove the container. And so, in essence, they've got 60 days to get the bill paid. Once the bill is not paid, then we remove the container. And a lot of people are required to have these containers. These are commercial accounts, and they're required to have those containers. So, what this will keep people from getting so far in arrears. We've had problems in the past where people have gone several months and get into arrears, and then we have a hard time catching them up. And so this policy is to help try to discourage getting them so far behind. And we wanna kinda take this, there's 2 or 3 pages here that Clay wants to go through, but we kinda like to take it page by page, because each one of these is basically a separate issue. But because the board sets policy, that's why we're bringing these policies to you.
Do we need to do each one individually, or can we
Yeah,
do them?
I would like to do them just individually, so then that way.
You need a motion for this?
Yes, sir, if you
I'll
would.
make a motion to accept this new payment policy.
All right, I have a motion to accept the new payment policy.
I'll second it.
Second?
And Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
where it says payment policy, can we add for commercial accounts onto that?
We could. Mr. Colvin, you think that would be necessary to do that, being we are talking about all commercial accounts?
I don't think it's spelled out anywhere else on the document as far as commercial accounts. In the future, somebody wanna read this, they might think it applies to a residential account. Feedback on that, Brian?
I don't know if we don't really have any residential people
Very few. Mr. Moore is right, we do have some on that one that.
They should follow the
Well,
same
yeah.
guidelines
Well,
of residential.
Street.
I think if you're gonna label it something, you probably wouldn't wanna say commercial, because this is the same thing we're gonna do with government accounts, that we're gonna do with industrial accounts, and all that kind of stuff. I think it's to cover everything other than what you presently charge through your special assessments, which is your normal monthly service for a resident. So if you're gonna label it something, it would probably be like other than, regular non-residential service, something to that, other than regular residential service, something like that. Because this is the same thing you would use with school board with their facilities, right? And same thing you'd use with a plant that, you know.
Everything but special assessment.
Everything that's
basically.
not covered by special assessment.
Mr. Chair, if I can ask a question, and I don't wanna put Mr. White on the spot. Mr. White, in the past, I believe you came to us with a long list of, residential accounts or individuals who were in arrears on their, is that correct?
Yes, sir, it
We
is.
was having a hard time collecting that back then, and those
Exactly.
were, a lot of those were residential, customers, correct?
They were.
Yes, sir. I just want to clarify. Thank you, sir.
I think that's a very good point, I remember that happening, I think that's, so. All right, we have a motion and a second,
I guess, we answer your question.
I'm still fuzzy about this.
The motion right now is to accept the new payment policy.
Without the.
Or you've asked, could we add that, but that didn't get answered. Other than, yeah, we could, but that didn't get answered. I'll amend my motion.
well, I think, in a way, it did, if I understand what Ms. Reeves said, we do have a few residential accounts that have been in the arrears.
Well,
The residents they're talking about is like if you're doing construction work on your home.
No,
you have to
I
do
know,
it.
well, they get a display box or green box.
It's not their normal, you know.
It's true.
right, we're confusing two different types of activity.
Okay.
This activity is somebody who we service continuously, on a continual basis.
Sure.
And bill them monthly. What Commissioner Davis is talking about will be addressed in the next couple pages. Those are when you just, like a one-time thing where you bring an open top container to them and they fill it. Those are where the residential people come in, but we do have some ways to address that in the next couple pages.
Okay.
But this is typically these are monthly accounts, I guess, is how to describe these. These are people that are continuing in monthly accounts.
What if a resident had a old home that's being demolished? How would that be classified?
That would be on the next couple pages. It's not a monthly or continuing bill.
Right.
That's a one-time bill, and we have some ways to address that, but this is a monthly continuing contract that we have with these people.
Okay, so we don't need word commercial accounts there, is that what we're saying?
I think that,
I think what I'd add is a sentence that says, this policy shall not cover, solid waste services which are provided pursuant to special assessment, non-applicable special assessment. And that way because that's really the only thing you're excluding, is your regular non-applicable assessment paid for solid waste service.
Okay, Mr. Chairman, if I may, I'd like to amend my motion to include that.
Can you repeat that sentence again? This policy should not cover.
That this policy shall not apply to solid waste and collection services.
Shall not apply. Solid waste collection.
Which are funded through non-applicable special assessments.
Okay. And see, just like we're having this discussion here now, it could be confusing somebody in the future.
Ms. Clerk, when you get through writing, would you please reread the motion?
So, all right, so the motion is to accept the new payment policy, but add the sentence, this policy shall not apply to solid waste collection services funded through non-ad valorem special assessments.
Okay, I feel with that.
All right. We have a motion and we have a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. 5-0. Moving to page 2. Mr. Blair.
There's some of this right here, what Mr. Stockman was talking about on that one, that the, 20 cubic yard containers on that one that are used, like Commissioner Moore said, they're on, burnouts or once in a while, clean up yearly projects on that one, would be, a set fee, which includes disposal fee, everything on that one, to, a fee of $395, which includes 7 days being in there. They know exactly what it's gonna cost them instead of the way the policy, or the way we have it now, that they don't know what the tonnage is gonna be. It fluctuates so much on that one, but if they just need it for the one time in a 7-day period, it'd be $395. If they need it during that 7 days, emptied again, would be a $350 pull fee each time we take it to the landfill on it, so that it's just an easier number for the person that doesn't use this on a regular basis to be able to figure how much it's gonna cost them to clean up an area.
And because they have, implemented the credit card payment system, you can pay in advance, and that's the other big thing about this now, is that we're establishing that you pay in advance. What's happened in the past is people would sign up, and we would take a container out there, and we start hauling to the landfill, and then we bill the people based on our charges plus the landfill charges, and then they don't pay. And so then we have the challenge of trying to collect payment from them. So this way, they're paying in advance, and for that, at least that one pull fee in advance. Now, if they need us to pull it and reset it, then they pay another $350, but they can pay it in advance by calling and putting it on their credit card.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes.
I move that we accept this, one-time users policy.
I have a motion to accept the
Second.
one-time user policy, I have a second. All those in favor?
Hold on, but before y'all do that, you got it paid in advance after the second payment, but you don't have that after the first, like you're looking at 20.
No, yeah.
Sorry,
Well, this one, the 20 cycle officer does not have that sentence, you're right.
This is.
What's down at the bottom of the page?
Well, it's
I
on
mean,
the sixth.
I'm confused, are we on this one or this one?
The second page?
The second page.
Well, yeah, Madison's all the way, one-time user. The ones in the middle says one-time user.
Yeah, okay. So if you go to 20 cubic yard, it says a fee of $395, it doesn't say paid in advance.
Right.
The next sentence says $350 fee, comma, paid in advance. I'd add that paid in advance after the first $395 and the first 120.
I see what you're saying.
Yeah.
So that makes it real clear that they got paid in advance.
And then it's
Well,
2%.
that brings up a question.
Right, so that doesn't mean that paid.
Now, that brings up a question, Mr. Blair, you may be able to answer this, Mr. Kaufman anymore. All right, look, I'm demolishing a house, I get a container, I pay my $395, you have to, but I realize, hey, there's a whole lot more destruction in this house than I thought I needed for a second time, so basically, we're doing it all over again. So week 2, just, it's like week 1, we start all over again, is that right? $395.
We're gonna have 2 pools, right?
You got 2 pulls, so you're gonna pay $395 week 1, $395 week 2, is that?
Well, we could continue at $350. If you have additional pulls, it would be $350.
Oh, okay, all right.
I mean, the number of pulls is more important than the number of days. I mean, if it stays there 10 days instead of 7 days, that doesn't cost us